Hey everybody, welcome to our Facebook Live event today. My name is Ryan Weston and I am coming to you from the lovely campus of Highlands Latin School, and we are going to speak on the topic of cottage schools today. At my role at MP, this is what I do. I talk to people about cottage schools. I also work with full-time schools, with part-time schools, with co-ops. So I want to encourage everybody. We have some previously posted questions that people have taken the liberty to share. And I have some information, some general information to go over. But comment, ask questions, share your thoughts even with one another, and don't be a stranger. Let's interact and see what we can learn. So first, a little bit of history. Memoria Press and Highlands Latin School share a common beginning. So Cheryl Lowe, our founder, she established the school while simultaneously writing the curriculum for the school. So as grades developed and as new subjects were offered, new curriculum was written. Cheryl believed that a school's purpose was to communicate a body of knowledge with the intent of inculcating wisdom and virtue in students. And that body of knowledge, she felt, as we still do today, needed to be defined. And this was because she wanted coherency across subjects. She wanted coherency across grade levels. She wanted to know that kindergarten and what they did was value adding and contributing to what we wanted ninth graders to be doing. If we want students to be reading Homer when they're 12, 13, what do we need to do when they're 11? What do we need to do when they're 10, 9, 8 in order to prepare them for that? And so because of that, there is this sort of inseparable connection between the press and the school. What a lot of people who may already know that don't know is that Cheryl, when she established the school and when she established the curriculum, she did so under a part-time status. And so you could say even that Highlands Latin School began as a cottage school, and you could say that the Memoria Press curriculum began as a cottage school curriculum. I think that there's something to that fact that has led Memoria Press curriculum to be so widely successful in homeschooling environments, in co-op environments, in cottage school environments, and in full-time school environments, because the design and the beginning and where it found its genesis. So with that being said, let me maybe speak for a minute or two before I start looking at questions about what we mean when we say cottage school. We do draw a distinction between a cottage school and a co-op. A co-op, in its name, implies this, is a cooperative. It's when you have parents coming together with a common goal and they share the load, right? That's what a co-op is. A cottage school, though, we would define slightly different. We would say that a cottage school is a part-time traditional classroom offering. Designed specifically for homeschooling students. So there's a couple of assumptions there. The latter being that these students are homeschooling students. So when we talk about a cottage school, we're talking about a student body that's made up of people who, when they go home, they have invested parents who are committed to continuing the education that began at school in the classroom and carrying that over into home. And so there's not this sort of attitude of complacency where the student is getting what they need at school and at home we can kind of wash our hands of that. It's more of a partnership, okay? And the other assumption is that the classroom is traditional. So this is again where we have that point of distinction between a co-op and a cottage school. Not that one is superior to the other; they're just different. A different set of assumptions, a different set of goals. And especially a different process for meeting those goals. And so in a cottage school, it's assumed that the classroom is traditional. This means that the burden of interpretation is on the teacher. The teacher has been and is presenting themselves as the authority in the classroom. The environment is conducive to learning. So students are in desks. The desks are in rows, and the desks are facing the teacher. We believe that when students gather in a classroom, they're there to learn the lesson that the curriculum is presenting, but there's also other lessons that they can learn, and a cottage school has a unique way of of presenting those other lessons. Posture, having good posture, right? We all want to have good posture. I say that, and now I'm checking my posture as I'm talking to you. And we want to be respectful, right? We want our students, their children, their young people to be cognizant of authority figures in their life. Not just in so far as this is someone who can lead me and guide me and feed me new information, but also someone that I can love by respecting and admiring and listening to. And so the cottage school classroom is traditional. It's disciplined, and like I said, it's all in some way, shape, or form contributing to what we're trying to offer. So with those sort of introductions, and feel free again to jump on, type away, ask questions if you have them, ask me to pursue things if you'd like that to happen. For anybody who's just jumping in with us, my name is Ryan. I'm Ryan Weston. We are on the campus of Highlands Latin School, and we're discussing the process of establishing a cottage school. So like I said, we did get a few questions from viewers. Hopefully those viewers who posted those questions are with us right now so that they are getting answers. I will take a moment, I suppose, now to encourage you. Memoria Press is unique in the sense that if you call, you're not going to get a recording. If you call with curricular questions or with questions about starting a cottage school or starting a co-op or establishing a full-time school, there are people whose jobs it is and who have experience in these things to help you. So you're not going to have to press one for this, that, or the other thing. You're gonna get a person on the line who's ready to help you with whatever you need or attempt to help you. So first question that we received was possibly the most common question that we hear, and that is in regards to boots on the ground. What's needed to get something going? And the question is, how many families would be suggested as needed to begin a school? This is going to depend. This is going to depend widely. We have our program here this year. We have about 135 students, all grades. We have high schoolers down to the lowest grade we offer this year, second grade. That is not at all what a campus is going to typically look like. You can prayerfully and with hard work, if that is where you want your program to go, you can get there. But this is after years of being in the community. My default recommendation has less to do with number of families and more to do with number of students. We described what a traditional classroom is. In order to have a traditional classroom, you have to have students, right? So you may have 5 families that are large, and they may happen to have students in similar age ranges and grade levels. In that situation, you may be able to start a campus, start a program with just the 5 or 6 families. What I generally say is you want 4 students minimally in a class. Having 4 students in a class provides the opportunity for the things we described. It provides the opportunity for the students to interact with their peers. And maybe more importantly, if you have a traditional classroom, you have a teacher that's getting paid, and it's going to take 4 or 5 students enrolled at a fair tuition in order to pay that teacher. So generally, I would say 4 or 5 students at a minimum. That's not really the most desirable. A good class is about 8 students. Often what you'll find is you will have your 3rd, 4th, 5th grade classes, maybe with that 8 to 10. And those supplement the classes of maybe siblings, older siblings or younger siblings, where maybe you only have 4 or 5. And that's perfectly acceptable. The real answer to this is your program is going to take the shape of the community that's invested in it. If you have a small group that's invested, you're going to structure your offerings to appeal to them. Cheryl Lowe, when she began this whole thing with the very first Highlands Latin Cottage School, there were not a lot of students, and she only covered 2 subjects. It's a good time to pause and just kind of say what Cheryl thought her school would be, and what it has turned out to be is Latin-centered liberal arts education. And so when she started it off, Cheryl would say that a classical school is only a classical school if you are studying classical languages and classical civilizations. And so that's what she did. She had I believe a Greek myths class and a Latina Christiana class. And that's what you can do too. And we have had people start with that type of offering. We've also had people start with 2 full days offering all subjects. So to be as direct as possible, you don't need much, but you do need a classroom. Adjust your offerings. If you're in a situation where you don't quite have the momentum, or you're not necessarily finding the interest that you hoped you would find, consider just getting the group together that you have. Maybe this is a few people from church, maybe it's people that are involved in another program during the week, and start a Latin study group, or start a literature group. Literature lends itself uniquely because you can have a 7th grade student, a 5th grade student, a 4th grade student, and an 8th grade student all reading Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, for instance, or any other number of books that appeal to a wide range of ages. And once you have something in place, it'll be much easier to attract attention from others, because over the course of the year, you're going to have people say, hey, do you want to get together on Monday? And you'll say, we would love to, but we have Cottage School that day. And then they ask, what's Cottage School? And so it also offers the opportunity to invite people to come and check out what you're doing, to get sort of a first-hand experience of what the program is. And so I think that those of you who may be in a situation where you don't have a lot of interest, maybe even in a rural community, my recommendation is to do something. It may not even be a traditional classroom, like I said. It may be something else, but to do something and just pray and continue to think through what it would take, and work with us. This is probably a good time to sort of pause and talk about the idea of a Highlands Latin Cottage School. Up to this point, I keep saying Cottage School, and that's because nobody really has a corner on a part-time traditional classroom offering. You can do it in whatever setting that you'd like. We do invite people to pursue using the Trademarked Highlands Latin School. In that case, we become very invested in you, and it becomes a partnership. We're very happy to assist in marketing and kind of jumping to another question that we have on the list here. But in that situation, we're very close, sharing a lot of resources that I'll get to in a minute. But so if you do want to know more about that, there's a link that we can post maybe on this thread, but it's pretty simple. highlandslatin.org is the website where you can learn more about that, or find a campus that's already going. Maybe there's one near you. So that second question that we received is in regards to structure and administration, and the person asked, do you help with ideas for structure and administration? And we do. The short answer is we do. Under the trademarking situation, if you're operating as a Highlands Latin Cottage School, there's a lot more help. There's a lot more resources. It's not necessarily that we keep those secret, it's just that we have a working relationship with the people who are using the trademark. So you're always welcome to call us. You'll probably get me. You're always welcome to email us, and that will probably be forwarded to me. But there's a whole team of people that contribute to the answer that you receive, both administrators with the school and just curricular specialists in the Memoria Press staff. But so yeah, we'll share resources that weigh the differences between profit and non-for-profit. We'll provide sample bylaws, help you determine what tuition should look like, how much teachers should be paid, and all sorts of other structural and organizational things. We want to give the help that you need. We're not necessarily going to force you to do everything in a particular way, but we want to be a resource for that. So the next question was in regards to a Simply Classical cottage school. And they said, I'd love to hear your comments about starting a Simply Classical cottage school. And that's a great question. It's a tough one. It's difficult to answer. With the Simply Classical curriculum, it is really no more difficult to get a cottage school program off the ground than it would be using any other components from Memoria Press's curriculum. The trouble that I have seen people get into who are trying to start, and we have had we actually have one that is launching this upcoming school year. in Pennsylvania, and that shows a lot of promise. But she's still experiencing a lot of the same struggles that others have, and that is finding students because of the particular situation that a parent may be in with their students or students that they're working with. It may not be as easy as you would hope to find students to enroll. Any specifics about that, like I mentioned before, call or email. If there are particular questions, if you're watching now, or if this is prompting new questions, jump on and ask them. Otherwise, I kind of limited in how much I can comment, broadly speaking. But I would say that the process should be about the same. The reality is that you are starting a small business, and I think a lot of people took this on, and they found out later that they're starting a small business, and they're going to be a little small business owner with taxes to worry about and financial health to worry about. And so let me just tell you from the beginning, if you do pursue this, you are taking that on, and it shouldn't be overwhelming. We're here to help. The MemoriaPress.com forum is a great place. There are a lot of people there that are experienced, that have done this, and are happy to help, answer questions, talk through things, make you aware of things that you may not be aware of already. So I do encourage you to go there and ask your questions there as well. We mentioned already that we define a cottage school program as part-time, right? It's a part-time traditional classroom offering for homeschoolers. The question that we have here is, do you recommend 1 or 2 days? So with the assumption even built into that question that if you went 3 days, we're probably going to start to call you more of a full-time program. And I'll even note that here at Highlands Latin School, nobody's on campus more than 4 days. 3rd grade and above have a 4-day schedule. Kindergarten is only on campus 2 days for 2 full days, with 1st and 2nd grade doing a 3-day academic week. So to some extent, some people would consider all of the students at Highlands Latin School to be part-time, but what we're working with is a 2-day program. And so again, the question, do you recommend 1 or 2 days for a cottage school? Similar to my first answer, this is going to depend on your scope. My answer is 2 days. I think that there's more that you can achieve. For some, it may be a day and a half, but for a subject like Latin, for instance, so this is even beyond. Of course, for a 2-day model, you can offer more subjects. So that's kind of a given, right? So that's going to appeal. But even for a subject that you may offer, regardless, like Latin. A teacher who has the opportunity to be with a student twice in a week is just able to achieve a lot more. And so you're doing your teachers a service by having 2 days, and you're doing your students a service. Now, of course, with 2 days, tuition is going to increase, and so it can be potentially cost prohibitive. So you may want to do some crowdsourcing with your families that are interested. But as far as the academics, as far as creating the culture, fostering the relationships among the student body with the faculty, the student body with each other, I would say that the 2-day model is probably what you want to do. Here on campus, our 1 day a week program that I have administered for, I teach for, and I'm a parent of students, we only do one day a week, but frankly that's just because that 1 day, that is the 5th day of the academic week, is when the campus is available. We would offer a 2nd day if we could. So I hope that helps. There's obviously a lot more to go into it that we could pursue, but the wisest approach may be if you're really excited and you think you have some momentum in starting something, perhaps start with 1 day and then start to plan for a 2-day. We welcome and invite the trademarked schools to even grow towards a full-time school. So we're talking about cottage schools, but if you're zealous to start a full-time traditional school in your area, following Cheryl's route of starting a 1 day a week program is not a bad way to go. Some would say it's the best way to go. So the last question that I have from you, and again, jump on and ask more if things are coming up, is should cottage schools administer grades? Yes, I would say yes. I hesitate to say yes because there's certainly a lot of good that can be done without that. This isn't a hill to die on. There's a lot of good that can be done without offering grades. It does put a new burden on the teacher. But I also think that there's a way in which you can structure the program such that you do offer grades, transcripts, report cards, but you also invoke sort of the partnership component of the homeschooling nature of the cottage school. And that, for instance, here in Louisville, most of our classes, the parents correct quizzes and tests, and they correct workbook activity or workbook answers, and then they submit those things to the teacher, and the teacher, doing what you're paying them to do, they weigh the answers. For instance, third form Latin, a lot of the quiz is going to be vocabulary and conjugating or declining, but there's also going to be a translation portion. And so if you are a mom or a dad at home and Latin is up here over your head, and you're watching your student work on translating these sentences, it may not look exactly like what the teacher manual looks. And in fact, it may look nothing like what the teacher manual looks like. But in actuality, they are correct. There's flexibility in translation, right? So that's where having a teacher who is doing some correcting and some grading is both going to just contribute overall to the process, but also to the learning. So we do recommend, there's a number of options for grade tracking, depending on how far you want to go with this. But again, as an administrator, a teacher, and a parent, I have really found that the inclusion of grade tracking and report cards to be something that we like. It allows for more accountability. So my short answer would be yes. My longer answer would be what I just gave. So that's all the questions that I've had from you guys. Again, if you if there are more things that you want to contribute to the discussion, that's great. If you want to call, if more questions come up later, if there are questions of more personal nature, feel free to email or call the Memoria Press office at another time. Something that is worth considering, for a lot of us, we opt to homeschool for a number of different reasons, and most of them are not lacking in importance in our lives. They're typically not wishy-washy things. There are things that are very important to us, and so they're to be respected. But at the same time, every decision we make carries with it sacrifices, right? So to get something, you've got to give something up. And as a parent of students at a cottage school program, and as a person who has visited dozens of campuses, I can't say enough how much of a blessing it is for the students to gather together. My boys, 13 and 12, have made relationships through the cottage school program that I expect to be lifelong. Very, very close friends that they've made, but they've also begun earlier than they would have to interact with adults in a very particular setting. So, your children, my children, most of our students are interacting with adults on a regular basis, right? Homeschooling does not carry with it all of the stereotypical things that sometimes people think of. But there is a sort of a nature to the interaction that our students have with their teachers, with other teachers on the campus that are not their teacher, where there is a decorum that's present, that's really difficult to recreate in any other environment. The learning process, the educational journey, especially for Christians, is something that is only improved in community. And so whether you've sort of dabbled in the idea of being involved in something like a cottage school, or you've been involved in co-ops already, the message that Memoria Press, that the school, that all of us would really just like to give you is do what's best for your student, but don't be afraid to take a first step. Don't be afraid to take a first step in pursuing the thing that you know would be good for your family and for your students. So that's all we have for today. I hope that to some degree it was helpful. And like I said, and I'll say it again, call us, email us, ask for help, and we're glad to give it to you. So thank you guys for being with us.